Now we stopped, and now we have a new one.
Okay, great.
I don't even remember hearing that. I hope I saw numbers, so they must have recorded something because I don't remember her saying recording in process.
No, she did. She
Okay,
did.
good. That's what I
I,
didn't want to ask because I didn't want to feel like an idiot, even though I am a techie, that I blew that one because I was
I
doing
remember
something
hearing that.
else.
I remember hearing that.
Okay, so here
Anyway,
we
here we
are.
go.
We're
Part
recording
two.
again, but it's recording right on top of the other one.
Uh-huh.
So we'll figure out a way. I think they
Wait,
got.
you're erasing what we already did?
No, we're going forward, but they're still
Oh,
attached to each other according to their number system. That doesn't mean they're actually not separated by black, and it's actually a done and start up from zero, but they had a number it this way because Zoom has a 40
all
minute.
right. All
Okay,
right.
so we're in the second segment. Okay, and this is
Okay.
the one where we can get to be a little political, because you got a political background that's like so deep. And yeah, I like the idea of the coalition and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm worried about really is that the coalition we're going to need soon is all the fired majors and generals of the U.S. properly trained military who can't watch the ethics of the military be destroyed, and they will help save us. And Robert Rice will say, at least we got these guys, and we got, De Niro and
Well, look, I think, oh, Scott,
John Penn.
I
They'll go.
think, look, I think the point of the film is to sometimes it's easier to look back and see things a little clearer that inform really what's happening now, but that it's hard because of the passions now, the partisanship now,
Yeah.
the violence now. It's hard to look at it. You look back 55 years to May 1970, this incredible week that started with Nixon's expansion of the war of Vietnam into Cambodia. He was elected that he had a peace plan, and all of a sudden now we hear he's going into Cambodia. College campuses across the country go on strike. And then on Monday,
Really,
four
John
students are
Birch's was
shot and
buried in his
killed.
head when he
Four
was
students.
28 or some 24. He couldn't avoid that. It was there in him and the lawyer that Trump had? It was his mentor, Cohn, right?
Yeah,
All these
right.
people. All right.
Exactly.
How
Roy
could you
Cohn,
take that
exactly.
out of your brain blood? I mean, him going to that memorial must have been like senility coming on or something, but
Well,
he was
I
going to
tell
try.
you, I had a different reaction to that. But first, okay, so you have this week, then on Monday, Kent State happens, four kids shot and killed. And then that Friday, the Hard Hat Riot happens. That Friday night, Saturday morning at 4 a.m., what you're talking about, Richard Nixon leaves the White House and goes to the Lincoln Memorial to try to talk to some of the anti-war protesters. I spoke to some of them. I wish I had been there for
Who
that
shot the
moment.
footage?
Right.
Who
But
did?
I felt in a way, I felt an empathy for Nixon I had never felt before while making the film. I despised Nixon when I was 19 years old. I've never hated a politician like I hated him.
Yeah, but
But
if you look at the guys who've come along since, and you look at what Richard Nixon wrote when he got down to serious shit, he's one of the smartest men that's ever been in that position. You got to
Well, I
give him.
will say that I had a renewed just on the theme we're talking about, which is working Americans and how they left the Democratic coalition of the New Deal, John F. Kennedy's New Frontier, and started migrating to the Republican Party under Nixon. Then Reagan solidified it with the so-called Reagan Democrats. And now we're living with MAGA. But all of a sudden, people are starting to wonder because prices are going up, gas is going up, healthcare costs are going up, inflation is going up. So it's not getting better for working people.
No,
And
it's not getting better for people. As we said, we're on the negative side of the balance sheet every time. So we have no value. And then we're going to do something on this. I just have to finish the investigation into where that accounting standard started and
okay,
put us
all
on.
right,
So, but
all
here's the
right.
thing. So you got that in this, and then you got the drama, and you got this amazing footage, and you weave it all together. I mean, some of the things like really kick ass. I mean, the fact, because I just kind of one thing that changed my life, and I'm almost good now, I think, on the harmonica. Okay. And John Mayall was one of the people that, you know,
I
and my
love the
dreams are
fact that you
moved.
picked that up. You know, most people do not. Another man going down, another man from the Blues
Yep.
Breaker album, one of the all-time great albums, John Mayall, and of course Eric Clapton in his youth. I'm so glad you picked that up. Of course, we also have another Englishman at the end, and that was a real coup that we were able to get John Lennon singing "Working Man Hero," which not that many people are familiar with, and that we were able to get that on a PBS budget because we showed them the film, The Lennon Estate, and they were moved and gave us a deal, which I am tremendously thankful for. But the music,
That's
the
a beautiful
Zappa, we
story.
also got the Zappa Estate, which is known to be, tough to deal with. We showed them the film. So the music
Zappa was
is
a genius sometimes. Nobody knows about some of his
right. So
songs.
the music is absolutely essential to the storytelling. But look, it's what your point is the people that built the World Trade Center, and in the festival version, that's where the film starts on the 110th floor of the World Trade Center as it's being built, and Dennis Milton looking out over the city, a hard hat, and telling us what he sees. Those very men at the end of the film in 1973, when the World Trade Center opened, the men who created and built the World Trade Center are going to be left behind. The America and the global economy that emerges is one for financiers, not for working
Yeah, and
people.
then it becomes a target that has to be protected by almost $500 billion.
Well, that, of course, is a whole other thing, and it doesn't even stand now. We know that, only weeks after 9/11. But the point of our discussion is, that since 1973, at least, the bargain for American families and American workers has basically been you guys take the scraps, most of the wealth created goes to the top 0.001%. That's the deal we've lived with. And we're hoping that that changes.
Well, they thought unions would save them. Then they thought unions were useless, and thank God women still join unions, or there would be no unions. I think for the 30 years.
Right, right.
And they're more feisty and really try to be human with stuff than the other guy who said, "Oh, they take the shit goes, and who knows what they'll offer us next time."
No,
And they got the
absolutely.
deal wired that way. Yeah, this is Robert Reich, all through. Did you see his film, the one
Yes,
Inequality
of
for All?
course, of course. And hopefully this film that we're talking about, Hard Hat Riots, will be seen by every Democratic operative as they think about how to rebuild a coalition that represents a much broader majority of Americans. And the majority of Americans are working Americans who are struggling and can't afford what we grew up with.
I
Our
came from a
kids and
broke.
our
I came from
grandkids
a
can't
below blue
afford to buy
collar
a house.
background. My old man didn't even have a regular job. He had junkyards and crazy monkeys and baboons and old cars here and moved to this. But I mean, he didn't like paying taxes either.
Right.
uh, but
But that's another story.
but
That's
the
another
point
story.
is, I understand how to work hard. I just happen to get scholarship, for everything because I studied shit, and I wasn't.
Right. But the point here, Scott, which is important, is
So I understand what.
economics. No, economics is key. It's fundamental. And this is a big but, culture matters, values. And it wasn't just the Vietnam War, it's more the respect for veterans, because a lot of blue collar workers actually turned against the war, thought the war made no sense, but they were the ones serving. They were the ones dying, and
Well,
their
that's why we
sons and
finally
daughters.
got rid of it.
And
Listen,
so the
yeah.
flag melt and patriotism meant something too. The church meant something, and faith meant
Well,
something.
you had the whole
Family.
flag thing there. There's
Yeah.
flags everywhere, everywhere. And the thing is, I actually shoot flags. Like for some reason, I think it's the most beautiful flag, and I can be very radical lots of times, but I really like our flag. Man.
Okay.
So I've
All
been
right.
shooting it
Well,
for years. I actually have a short that it's like one of the last shots from
and
Cuba.
the burning of the flag was upset a lot of people. And so what
Well,
my
I would have understood if they burn it because everybody finally proved to them that there was no Betsy Ross or something. And then why are
no,
they
but
taking all
the
these kids to tour? I lived in Philly. We went to their house 5 times for Betsy Ross, and I didn't see
right,
any proof
right.
that there really was a Betsy Ross. Just like there was flags and I just
Yeah. But the point is that as much as economics determines, it's the economy, stupid, which came out of the Clinton campaign in 92. There is more. Culture matters.
no, but that's
Value
where you're
matters.
showing something deep because I think that this real time shit that maybe started with that what was the film where he mixed the political stuff um uh medium cool.
Oh,
And all right, if this happened in real time, eh, there's a feedback loop. They're telling them, oh, we're doing this because we're MAGA people. 50, 80 years ago, they would have been doing it because they were who they were, whatever's going on. But now they do it because and they all have to relate to this or that and all that. And I think there's people who don't even think that way, really, normally, and why they should even bother with that bullshit. But they're laying it
well, let
on
me
you.
say this, that I think Hard Hat Riot, this film on American Experience, PBS, which of course has been defunded by the current Congress.
That's
Uh,
it. You're not going to
this is
get paid for
exactly the
this.
kind of film that public media should be doing. It's not in either silo. It's not simply a left wing preaching to the converted, and it's not simply right wing propaganda. It
No,
is
but
an
you have a
attempt to,
revelation here too. That's what's interesting. I had that with when I learned about what Pasolini did in terms. I said, "Wow." I mean, how can we were? I didn't call them pigs. I'm a worker. I mean, but I understand that which side I was on because I did a lot of drugs. So they were always going to be on the other side. But I like to duel with them when I had it under. I like cops. I love Irish cops, man. Those
yeah.
fucking
Well,
people are brave as
you
fucking
just
shit.
said it.
Standing out there, anybody can come up and shoot them. Okay, shoot,
And you grew
target.
up in a working class neighborhood and a working class kid. And so did I, actually, until I was a teenager and my family moved to the suburbs. And, it was a different world.
Of course, you had a pedigree that would go so
I
deep.
had a pedigree, although my parents were, they were labor organizers. And so, my father, for until I was 11 or 12, worked on the Jersey Central Railroad, and my mom worked in the Westinghouse factory because they were organizers.
They were good. Did they pay their pensions?
Well, no, they eventually left the labor movement, became professionals. My father, a
And they
journalist,
didn't get their
filmmaker.
pensions at all because they didn't stay long enough.
No, they didn't stay long enough. But anyway,
Nice
uh,
jobs. And I always think if I was in the post office out of college, and there's no question that if I had stayed in the post office for 30 years, I would have 10 times, 100 times more money than I have now. And there's something wrong here, so I'm making some business
all
model
right.
changes.
Well, where are we at in terms of chapter two?
All right, we're going to close this one out
Yeah,
with
because I
saying
want to get to the
there's a
controversy.
realization that we understand that there's a communications failure. I still love that one. What we're doing here is we have a failure to communicate.
Exactly.
Which I don't like when they put it in a movie. They say it, you can never say it again. Why is that? I mean, people say all kinds of stupid stuff over and over. Then it's in a movie. We can't say what we have here, and we do have that. No, it's worse than ever, I think, in many ways. A failure to communicate. But you
Absolutely.
communicate.
And this is a film that I think can help people that are in one silo, another silo, break out of their silos and communicate together. That's my hope for the film.
I'm going to mention real quickly when we close this right now is there's a film. I don't know if you saw it. You're pretty hip to what's going on. It was somebody who was embedded with one of the groups. What was it? On January 6th, those guys. He was embedded with
Oh, I
these
saw
groups.
that film. I
Okay,
saw that film. That was good.
that
Yeah,
was a real piece. And
that
anybody
was great.
who sit there and didn't understand why Trump was has to see that film to understand what the other side is thinking. I think two of
Exactly,
these films
exactly.
would run together so well somewhere. I wish that people would bundle these documentaries now into
I agree with you.
distribution.
It's a very good point. All right, let's
So
hit.
here we go into the next one. Let's
Yeah.
stop recording here, and we're going to finish up with some, hopefully